Dune, Chapter 7 by Frank Herbert. With the Lady Jessica and Arrakis, the Bene Gesserit system of sowing implant legends through the Mission Area Protectiva came to its full fruition. The wisdom of seeding the known universe with a prophecy pattern for the protection of BG personnel has long been appreciated, but never have we seen a condition ut extremis with more ideal mating of person and preparation. The prophetic legends had taken on Arrakis even to the extent of adopted labels, including Reverend Mother, Canto, and Respondu, and most of the Shari Panoplia Propheticus. And it's generally accepted now that the Lady Jessica's latent abilities were grossly underestimated. Analysis, The Arrakeen Crisis by the Princess Irlam, Private Circulation, Bene Gesserit, file number AR81088587. All around the Lady Jessica, piled in corners of the Arrakeen Great Hall, mounded in the open spaces, stood the packaged freight of their lives. Boxes, trunks, cartons, cases, some partly unpacked. She could hear the cargo handlers from the guild shuttle depositing another load in the entry. Jessica stood in the center of the hall. She moved in a slow turn, looking up and down around at the shadowed carvings, crannies, and deeply recessed windows. This giant anachronism of a room reminded her of the sisters' hall at her Bene Gesserit school. But at the school the effect had been warmth. Here all was bleak stone. Some architect had reached far back into history for these buttressed walls and dark hangings, she thought. The arched ceiling stood 2 stories above her with great crossbeams. She felt sure had been shipped here to Arrakis across space at monstrous cost. No planet of this system grew trees to make such beams. Unless the beams were imitation wood. She thought not. This had been the government mansion in the days of the old empire. Costs had been of less importance then. It had been before the Harkonnens and their new megalopolis of Carthag, a cheap and brassy place, some 200 kilometers northeast across the Broken Land. Leto had been wise to choose this place for his seat of government. The name, Arrakeen, has a good sound, filled with tradition. And this was a familiar city, easy to sterilize and defend. Again, there came a clatter of boxes being unloaded in the entry. Jessica sighed. Against a curtain, to her right, stood the painting of the Duke's father. Wrapping twine hung from it like a frayed decoration. A piece of the twine was still clutched in Jessica's left hand. Beside the painting lay a black bull's head, mounted on a polished board. The head was a dark island in a sea of wadded paper. Its plaque lay flat on the floor, and the bull's shiny muzzle pointed at the ceiling as though the beast were ready to bellow a challenge into this echoing room. Jessica wondered at what compulsion had brought her to uncover these 2 things first, the head and the painting. She knew there was something symbolic in the action. Not since the day when the Duke's spies had taken her from the school had she felt this frightened and unsure of herself. The head and the picture. They heightened her feelings of confusion. She shuddered, glanced at the slit windows high overhead. It was still early afternoon here, and in these latitudes the sky looked black and cold, so much darker than the warm blue of Caladan. A pang of homesickness throbbed through her. So far away from Caladan. Here we are. The voice was Duke Leto's. She whirled, saw him standing in the arched passage to the dining hall. His black working uniform with red armorial hawk crest at the breast looked dusty and rumpled. "I thought you might have lost yourself in this hideous place," he said. "It's a cold house," she said. She looked at his tallness, at the dark skin that made her think of the olive groves and the golden sun on blue waters. There was wood smoke in the gray of his eyes, but the face was predatory, thin, full of sharp angles and planes. A sudden fear of him tightened her breast. He had become such a savage, driving person since the decision to bow to the Emperor's command. "This whole city feels cold," she said. "It's a dirty, dusty little garrison town," he agreed. "But we'll change that." He looked around the hall. These are public rooms for state occasions. I've glanced at some of the family apartments in the south wing. They're much nicer. He stepped closer, touched her arm, admiring her stateliness. And again he wondered at her unknown ancestry. A renegade house, perhaps? Some black-barred royalty? She looked more regal than the Emperor's own blood. Under the pressure of his stare, she turned half away, exposing her profile, and he realized there was no single and precise thing that brought her beauty to focus. The face was oval under a cap of hair the color of polished bronze. Her eyes were wide set, as green and clear as the morning skies of Caladan. The nose was small, the mouth was wide and generous. Her figure was good but scant, tall with its curves gone to slimness. He remembered that the lay sisters at the school had called her skinny, so his buyers had told him. But that description oversimplified. She had brought a regal beauty back into the Atreides line. He was glad that Paul favored her. "Where is Paul?" he asked. "Some place around the house taking his lessons with Yue." "Probably in the south wing," he said. "I thought I heard Yue's voice, and I couldn't take the time to look." He glanced down at her, hesitating. "I came here only to hang the key of Caladan Castle in the dining hall." She caught her breath, stopped the impulse to reach out to him. Hanging the key! There was finality in that action, but this was not the time or place for comforting. "I saw our banner over the house as we came in," she said. He glanced at the painting of his father. "Where were you going to hang that?" "Somewhere in here." "No." The word rang flat and final, telling her she could use trickery to persuade, but open argument was useless. She still had to try, even if the gesture served only to remind herself that she would not trick him. "My lord," she said, "if you'd only—" "The answer remains no. I indulge you shamefully in most things, not in this. I've just come from the dining hall where there are—" "My lord, please." "The choice is between your digestion and my ancestral dignity, my dear," he said. "They will hang in the dining hall." "Yes, my lord," she sighed. "You may resume your custom of dining in your rooms whenever possible. I shall expect you at proper position only on formal occasions." "Thank you, my lord." "And don't go cold and formal on me. Be thankful that I never married you, my dear. Then it'd be your duty to join me at table for every meal." She held her face immobile, nodded. "Howard already said that—" "Howitt already has our own poison snooper over the dining table," he said. "There's a portable one in your room." "You anticipated this disagreement," she said. "My dear, I think also of your comfort. I've engaged servants. They're locals, but Hawat has cleared them. They're Fremen all. They'll do until our own people can be released from their other duties." "Can anyone from this place truly be safe?" "Anyone who hates Harkonnens. You may even want to keep the head housekeeper, the Shadout Mapes." "Shadout," Jessica said. "A Fremen title?" "I'm told it means well dipper, a meaning with rather important overtones here. She may not strike you as a servant type, although Hawat speaks highly of her on the basis of Duncan's report. They're convinced she wants to serve. Specifically, that she wants to serve you." "Me?" "The Fremen have learned that you're Bene Gesserit," he said. "There are legends here about the Bene Gesserit. The Missionaria Predictiva," Jessica thought. No place escapes them. "Does this mean Duncan was successful?" she asked. "Will the Fremen be our allies?" "There's nothing definite," he said. They wish to observe us for a while. Duncan believes. They did. However, promised to stop raiding our outlying villages during a truce period. That's a more important gain than it might seem. Hawat tells me that the Fremen were a deep thorn in the Harkonnen side, that the extent of their ravages was a carefully guarded secret. It would have It wouldn't have helped for the Emperor to have learned the ineffectiveness of the Harkonnen military. A Fremen housekeeper, Jessica mused, returning to the subject of the Shadout Mapes. She will have all blue eyes. Don't let the appearance of these people deceive you, he said. There's a deep strength and a healthy vitality in them. I think they'll be everything we need. It's a dangerous gamble, she said. Let's not go into that again, he said. She forced a smile. We are committed, no doubt about that. She went through the quick regimen of calmness, 2 deep breaths, the ritual of thought, then, when I assign rooms, is there anything special I should reserve for you? You must teach me how you do that someday. The way you thrust your worries aside and turn to practical matters, it must be a Bene Gesserit thing. It's a female thing, she said. He smiled. Well, our assignment of rooms. Make certain I have large office space next to my sleeping quarters. There'll be more paperwork here than on Caladan. A guard room, of course. That should cover it. Don't worry about security of the house. Howit's men have already been over it in depth. I'm sure they have. He glanced at his wristwatch. And you might see that all our timepieces are adjusted for Arrakis local. I've assigned a tech to take care of it. He'll be along presently. He brushed a strand of her hair back from her forehead. I must return to the landing field now. The second shuttle's due any minute with my staff reserves. Couldn't Hawat meet them, my lord? You look so tired. The good Thufir is even busier than I. You know this planet's infested with Harkonnen intrigues. Besides, I must try persuading some of the trained spice hunters against leaving. They have the option, with the change of fief, and this planetologist, the Emperor, and the Landsrat installed as judge of the change cannot be bought. He's allowing the opt. About 800 trained hands expect to go out on a spice shuttle, and there's a guild cargo ship standing by. My lord, she broke off, hesitating. Yes? You will not be persuaded against trying to make this planet secure for us, she thought, and I cannot use my tricks on him. What time will you be expecting me at dinner? She asked. That's not what she was going to say, he thought. Ah, my Jessica. Would that we were somewhere else, anywhere from this terrible place, alone, the two of us, without a care. I'll eat in the officers' mess at the field, he said. Don't expect me until very late, and I'll be sending a guard car for Paul. I want him to attend our strategy conference. He cleared his throat, as though to say something else, then, without warning, turned and strode out, headed for the entry where she could hear more boxes being deposited. His voice sounded once from there, commanding and disdainful, the way he always spoke to servants when he was in a hurry. The Lady Jessica's in the Great Hall. Join her there immediately. The outer door slammed. Jessica turned away, faced the painting of Leto's father. It had been done by the famed artist Alba during the old Duke's middle years. He was portrayed in matador costume, with a magenta cape flung over his left arm. The face looked young, hardly older than Leto's now, and with the same hawk features, the same gray stare. She clenched her fists at the sides and glared at the painting. Damn you, damn you, damn you, she whispered. What are your obols, nobleborn? It was a woman's voice, thin and stringy. Jessica whirled, stared down at the knobby, gray-haired woman in a shapeless sack dress of bondsman brown. The woman looked as wrinkled and desiccated as any member of the mob that had greeted them on the way from the landing field that morning. Every native she had seen of this planet, Jessica thought, looked prune-dry and undernourished. Yet, Leto had said that they were strong and vital. And there were the eyes, of course, the wash of deepest, darkest blue without any white, secretive, mysterious. Jessica forced herself not to stare. The woman gave a stiff-necked nod and said, I am called the Shadout Mapes, nobleborn. What are your orders? You may refer to me as my lady, Jessica said. I am not nobleborn. I am a bound concubine of the Duke Leto. Again the strange nod, and the woman peered upward towards Jessica with a sly questioning. There's a wife, then? There is not, nor has there ever been. I am the Duke's only companion, the mother of his heir designate. Even as she spoke, Jessica laughed inwardly at the pride behind her words. What was it St. Augustine said? She asked herself. The mind commands the body and it obeys. The mind orders itself and meets resistance. Yes, I am meeting more resistance lately. I could use a quiet retreat by myself. A weird cry sounded from the road outside the house. It was repeated. So-suk, so-so-suk. Then, ikutai. Again, so-so-suk. What is that? Jessica asked. I heard it several times when we drove down the street this morning. Only a water cellar, my lady. But you've no need to interest yourself in such as they. The cistern here holds 50,000 liters, and it's always kept full. Why, my lady, I don't even I don't even have to wear my still suit here, she cackled. And me, not even dead. Jessica hesitated, wanting to question this Fremen woman, needing data to guide her, but bringing order of the confusion in the castle was more imperative. Still, she found the thought unsettling that water was a major mark of wealth here. My husband told me of your title, Shadout. I recognize the word, Jessica said. It's a very ancient word. You know the ancient tongues, then? Mapes said, and she waited with an odd intensity. Tongues are the Bene Gesserit's first learning, Jessica said. I know the Botani Jib and the Chicopsa, all the hunting languages. Mapes nodded. Just as the legend says. And Jessica wondered, why do I play out this sham? But the Bene Gesserit ways were devious and compelling. I know the dark things and the ways of the Great Mother, Jessica said. She read the more obvious signs in Mapes's actions and appearance, and the petite details. Mrs. Praya, she said in the Chicopsa tongue. Andralta Praya, Trada Sik Buskakri, Missasis Parakri. Mapes took a backward step, appeared poised to flee. I know many things, Jessica said. I know you have borne children, and you have lost loved ones, that you have hidden in fear, and that you have done violence, and you will yet do more violence. I know many things. In a low voice, Mapes said, I meant no offense, my lady. You speak of the legend, and you seek answers, Jessica said. Beware the answers you may find. I know you came prepared for violence, with a weapon in your bodice. My lady, there's a remote possibility you could dry my life's blood, Jessica said, but in doing so you'd bring down more ruin than your wildest fears could imagine. There are worse things than dying, you know, even for an entire people. My lady, Mapes pleaded. She appeared about to fall on her knees. The weapon was sent as a gift to you, should you prove to be the one. And as the means of my death, should I prove otherwise? Jessica said. She waited in the seeming relaxation that made the Bene Gesserit trained so terrifying in combat. Now we see which way the decision tips, she thought. Slowly, Mapes reached into the neck of her dress, brought out a dark sheath, a black handle with deep finger ridges protruding from it. She took the sheath in one hand and the handle in the other, withdrew a milk-white blade, held it up. The blade seemed to shine and glitter with a light of its own. It was double-edged like a kinjal, but the blade was perhaps 20 centimeters long. Do you know this, my lady? Mapes asked. It could be only one thing, Jessica knew. The fabled Chris knife of Arrakis. The blade that had never been taken off the planet, and was known only by rumor and wild gossip. It's a Chris knife, she said. Say it not lightly, Mape said. Do you know its meaning? And Jessica thought there was an edge to that question. Here's the reason. This Fremen has taken service with me. To ask that one question. My answer could precipitate violence, or what? She seeks an answer from me. The meaning of the knife. She's called Shadout in the Chicopsa tongue. Knife, that's Deathmaker in Chicopsa. She's getting restive. I must answer now. Delay is as dangerous as the wrong answer. Jessica said, It's a maker. Aye! Mapes wailed. It was the sound of both grief and elation. She trembled so hard the knife blade sent glittering shards of reflection shooting around the room. Jessica waited, poised. She had only intended to say the knife was a maker of death, and then add the ancient word. But every sense warned her now. All the deep training of alertness that exposed meaning in the most casual muscle twitch. The key word was maker. Maker? Maker. Still, Mapes held the knife as though ready to use it. Jessica said, Do you think that I, knowing the mysteries of the Great Mother, would not know the Maker? Mapes lowered the knife. My lady, when one has lived with prophecy for so long, the moment of revelation is a shock. Jessica thought about the prophecy. The Shirai and all the Panoplia Propheticus. A Bene Gesserit of the Missionaria Protectiva dropped here long centuries ago, long dead, no doubt, but her purpose accomplished. The protective legends implanted in these people against the day of Bene Gesserit's need. Well, that day had come. Mapes returned the knife to its sheath. This is an unfixable blade, my lady. Keep it near you. More than a week away from flesh, and it begins to disintegrate. It's yours. It's a tooth of Shai Hulud, for as long as you live. Jessica reached out her right hand, risked a gamble. Mapes, you've sheathed that blade unblooded. With a gasp, Mapes dropped the unsheathed knife into Jessica's hand and tore open the brown bodice, wailing, "Take the water of my life!" Jessica withdrew the blade from its sheath. How it glittered! She protect She directed the point towards Mate, saw a fear greater than death panic come over the woman. Poison in the point? Jessica wondered. She tipped up the point and drew a delicate scratch with the blade's edge above Mape's left breast. There was a thick welling of blood that stopped almost immediately. Ultra fast coagulation, Jessica thought. A moisture conserving mutation? She sheathed the blade, said, "Button your dress, Mapes." Mapes obeyed, trembling. The eyes without wife stared at Jessica. "You are ours," she muttered. "You are the one." There came another sound of unloading in the entry. Swiftly, Mapes grabbed the sheathed knife, concealed it in Jessica's bodice. "Whoever seized that knife must be cleansed or slain," she snarled. "You know that, my lady." "I know it now," she thought. The cargo handlers left without intruding the great hall. Mapes composed herself and said, "The uncleansed who have seen a Chris knife may not leave Arrakis alive. Never forget that, my lady. You've been entrusted with a Chris knife." She took a deep breath. "Now, the thing must take its course. It cannot be hurried." She glanced at the stacked boxes and piled goods around them. "And there's work aplenty to while the time for us here." Jessica hesitated. The thing must take its course. This was a specific catchphrase from the Missionaria Protectiva's stock of incantations. The coming of the Reverend Mother to free you. But I am not a Reverend Mother, Jessica thought. And then, Great Mother, they planted that one here. This must be a hideous place. In matter-of-fact tones, Mape said, "What'll you be wanting me to do first, milady?" Instinct warned Jessica to match that casual tone. She said, "The painting of the old Duke over there. It must be hung on one side of the dining hall. The bull's head must go on the wall opposite the painting." Mapes crossed to the bull's head. What a great beast it must have been to carry such a head. She stooped. "I'll have to be cleaning it first, won't I, milady?" "No, but there's dirt caked on its horns." "That's not dirt, Mapes. That's the blood of our Duke's father. Those horns were sprayed with a transparent fixative within hours after the beast killed the old Duke." Mapes stood up. "Ah, now," she said. "It's just blood," Jessica said. "Old blood, that, at that. Get some help hanging these now. These beastly things are heavy." "Do you think the blood bothered me?" Mapes asked. "I'm one of the desert. I've seen blood aplenty." I see that you have. "And some of it my own," Mapes said. "More'n you drew with your puny scratch. You'd rather I cut deeper?" "Ah, no. The body's water is scant enough without gushing a wasteful lot of it into the air. You did the thing right." And Jessica, noting the words and manner, caught the deeper implications of the phrase. The body's water. Again she felt a sense of oppression at the importance of water on Arrakis. "On which side of the dining hall shall I hang which of these, my lady?" Ever the practical one, this Mapes, Jessica thought. She said, "Use your own judgment, Mapes. It makes no real difference." "As you say, my lady." Mapes stooped, began clearing wrappings and twine from the head. "Killed an old duke, did you?" she crooned. "Shall I summon a handler to help you?" "I'll manage, my lady." Yes, she'll manage, Jessica thought. There's that about this Fremen creature. The drive to manage. Jessica felt the cold sheath of the crisp knife beneath her bodice, thought of the long chain of Bene Gesserit scheming that had forged another link here. Because of that scheming, she had survived a deadly crisis. It cannot be hurried, Mape said. Yet there was a tempo of headlong rushing into this place that filled Jessica with foreboding, and not all the preparations of the Missionaria Protectiva nor Hawat's suspicious inspection of this castellated pile of rocks could dispel the feeling. When you've finished hanging those, start unpacking the boxes, Jessica said. One of the cargo men at the entry hall has all the keys and knows where things should go. Get the keys and the list from him. If there are any questions, I'll be in the south wing. As you will, my lady, Mape said. Jessica turned away, thinking, Hawat may have passed this residency as safe, but there's something wrong about the place. I can feel it. An urgent need to see her son gripped Jessica. She began walking towards the arched doorway that led into the passage of the dining hall and to the family wings. Faster and faster she walked until she was almost running. Behind her, Mapes paused in clearing wrappings from the bull's head and looked at the retreating back. She's the one, all right, she muttered. Poor thing.